Hi, my name is Jason Young, and in this video, we're going to go over some quick tips about how to do better in college and how to get extensions on your assignments. Because there's one thing that you don't necessarily realize, and that's your teachers are absolutely petrified that they're going to make you too stressed out and you're going to take your own life. And this isn't to diminish mental health in any way, but if you clearly communicate with your professors about how you are feeling and how stressed out you are, is very easy to get extensions on your assignments. It's very easy to even get whole assignments dropped or to make up things. And I just want to show some couple examples of emails I've sent and talk about stories where I've gotten exceptions for when I've been extremely stressed out. So all this to say, don't stay quiet. Let people know how you're feeling because it's the only way to actually get the help you need. So, this email right here, I came down with an insanely bad cold and basically spent the whole week sitting on my yogi boat, which is like a giant beanbag chair, with a whole box of tissues, just constantly draining my sinuses into it. It's disgusting. It's horrible. It wasn't fun at all. It was some of the sickest I've ever been. But I just let my professor know. I'm like, hey, over the weekend I came down with a really bad cold. Spending most of my days wrapped up in blankets. This has made it difficult for me to do my schoolwork right now. I'm hoping to get an extension, homework number 3, so that I can submit this sometime over the weekend. And the key you want to make sure you touch on while doing this is let them know when they can expect it, because sometimes you don't want to just push it off indefinitely. Let them know how you're feeling, and then you also, this whole process is very helped along if you actually show up to your classes. I'd recommend showing up to your classes before and actually sitting in some place noticeable and raising your hand occasionally, which makes all of them in a show a lot easier to pull off. And your professor, if they can put a face to the name, is a lot easier, more likely to grant you extensions for all this stuff. If they don't know who you are, if you sit back in class, if you're goofing off, they're just going to think that you're just messing them over and you're trying to get extension for no good reason. But if you can answer questions, then they're like, oh, I know who that is. If you show up to office hours once or twice, it's like nothing too big, but just these very minute things to actually show the professor, like, I'm trying in this class. You just need to show some degree of effort, and then you can ask for a lot of extra help. But if they don't see you putting in the effort, they're not going to want to give you any extra help. So then this other email, let me see. Next email. Nope. How this is going to go. Give me 2 seconds. So another thing that you can do is, in this example, when you email them, you can ask about the late penalty. So check the syllabus and see if there's a late penalty and just be like, I'll just read this one. I'm wondering what type of late penalties I would have if I was to turn in homework 5 before lunch on tomorrow. I had a couple of exams this week, and I'm currently finishing up a presentation with 15% of my grade for my junior writing class. I understand the material covered in Chapter 6, but I underestimated how long it would take me to complete the homework. I'm currently very underslept and would be very grateful if I was able to submit homework number 5 tomorrow without affecting my grades in the class too much. So I just want to touch on a couple points in this. First of all, I expressed a desire for my grades. I'm like, they do matter to me. I want to keep them in a good standing. I also let them know that just I'm not procrastinating indefinitely. Like, I just on the reason why I need this late penalty is either actually twofold in this. I touched on the fact that I'm underslept. I've been working on a homework assignment for another class, and also the fact that I underestimated how long it would take. So they want to know, like, why what caused you to be late on this? Like, you need to give some type of reason. Like, I'm underslept is the reason why you are asking for the extension, because like you can need to keep catch up on sleep, but the fact that you're underslept isn't necessarily why you fell behind. It's just where you're currently at. So if you say, I was stressed out and I pulled a couple all nighters for another class, and then I'm underslept and now my brain's not functioning, then that would be a good reason to give. Um, let's see. And then I don't ask necessarily for them to let me submit it late without any penalty. What I found works well is you say, like, what would the penalty be for this? And in the next couple of cases I'm going to show, all my professors have waived the penalty, and they just like, oh yeah, you can just submit it. It's good. Let's see. Exams, class material. Also, you want to express and understand, like, if you do know what the material covers, be like, yeah, I understand the material. I get what's going over. I just am having trouble finishing it on time. Another thing is, if you can send these emails to the professor like anytime before day, like once it gets to the 24-hour mark, your professor's like, you should have emailed me by now. Like, you probably just procrastinated and didn't look at the assignment till the start. And I mean, you can get around that if your justification for why you need it is good enough. Like, you just overstress with another exam, but it's always best to reach out like 36 hours beforehand, 48 hours beforehand, and just be like, this is what's up, and just clear communication with them on your standings. And with all of these examples, feel free to kind of copy the general gist and wording of it, but you might want to change it a little bit to suit you. So for this example, I basically say, I've been editing my paper. It's not going to be ready to submit by the deadline today. And there was a 5% penalty for others. I'll just read it straight out. I've been editing my paper and it's not yet ready to be submitted at 6 p.m. today. I wanted to check that the 5% off late penalty submission is going to apply to the final paper. I have put a lot of work into my paper and would hate to submit it when I'm not 100% satisfied with it. So this kind of speaks to not necessarily procrastination, but just like wanting to really get it done with and put forth my best effort. And a lot of the professors, they are extremely studious people themselves. Like, that's the thing you have to realize. A lot of the times professors don't realize how difficult college can be, because the people who become professors are like the valedictorians in the top 1% of their own college class, which is why they stay within the academia circle. So they found college to be very easy in some sense. And from my discussions when I was TAing with them, they don't fully understand how difficult some of the work they give. So if you can clearly communicate that with them, it's very, very helpful. And yeah, so next example. One quick thing I want to talk on here is, don't let yourself get overstressed. Always check to see what the late penalty is for your assignment. If your assignment is like 75% of the way done and you're going to get like a C on it, but you know you could get like an A if you spend an extra day or two, look at, like, see how many points you get taken off. If it's 5% a day, it's a C versus 2 more days of work, and you would get a B. And you also have to always keep an account whether or not you have other classes and how your time looks. But keep in mind, you can submit things late. The deadline isn't actually the deadline for most things. Professors have it within their discretion to move things around. I mean, their say on what happens is pretty much the law of the class. So if you can get them to make exceptions to you, it's going to work out really well. For this last example, hi professor, I've been underslept all week, so I will be handing in the homework tomorrow morning for 10% off. So I'm just letting them know, and I'm kind of fishing here. I'm like, can I get like some lenience here? And he bites the hook, and he's like, If you can submit your homework, you can submit your homework until noon tomorrow, and I will not deduct 10%. So if you seem willing to take the hit and you communicate this to them, sometimes they show leniency with it. Versus if I just didn't turn in the homework and until that time I didn't communicate with him, he would have just taken off the 10%. Always make sure you communicate with the professor. Always email them, and make sure the professor can put a face to your name. Show up to office hours once or twice. Raise your hand once a month in the class and just say something. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You're paying these people to make sure that you understand the material. So any inability to ask a good question is due to their failings as a teacher and not necessarily reflecting upon your ability as a student. They should be able to teach to your learning style. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comment down below, but I'll have some more college tips. I also probably link a video up here or something, and it talks about the psychology, I hope I said that right, of being a TA and how you can kind of manipulate your papers and format them and just make them extra long to get the TA to just look at your thing and be like, well, I don't actually want to read this whole assignment. It looks like they have everything here. I'll just give them an A. It talks a lot in depth about that. I've been a TA for many classes, and I've had friends who've TA'd many classes. I know how the college system works very well. So stay tuned.